Good morning, my artsy friends. Welcome to our regularly scheduled Monday morning live. Of course, my name is Ken. I am your Thrifty Apprentice, and you are on the Defiant Art Thrifty Apprentice YouTube channel. Today, we are going to be working on a mixed media project. Now, this was supposed to happen last week, and I ended up pushing it back to this week. And as a result, you guys did get an extra video that came out this past Friday where we painted, or where I showed you guys a really quick little time lapse demo of painting this flower pot in front of a windowsill. Now, I have to tell you, I had a lot of fun painting this. It was done with the Mission Gold professional watercolors. If you have not seen it, do go check it out. Um, as I tell you guys all the time when it comes to time lapse, if it's moving too fast for you, just mute it. Use the speed reducer on your video player on YouTube, and you can slow it down so that, if it's going too fast, you can keep up with it. But I tried to make sure that it was moving at a moderately enough pace so that you'd be able to see exactly what was going on. It was a lot of fun. It was kind of just on a whim, and I hope you guys give it a try if you have not already. Let's move on and talk about some things that have come into the studio over the last, well, it's been 2 weeks now. 2 weeks since we had a live. Now, I took a trip to Jerry's Autorama. I'm going to tell you, my intention was to start to shoot a video, just kind of showing you guys around my local Jerry's Autorama, the things that's in it, the type of prices that are there. However, the people were really busy, and the store was kind of full. I didn't want a video with a store full of people or interrupt them because I definitely want to ask for permission before I film in the store. But I do have that on my bucket list. And I initially said that it was more than likely going to be something that we did as a thrifty behind the scene real video over on Patreon for the Creation Station community. But I did decide that it would more than likely be a pre recorded video release here on YouTube so everybody can kind of share, especially for those people who may not be used to Jerry's, never heard of Jerry's. So that's definitely coming up. Friends, if you're here and you're already with us, don't forget to just go ahead and throw a little love before we get started so that you don't forget later and give the video a little thumbs up for me. Hey, even if you feel free, share it. Sharing is definitely caring. So when I took that trip to Jerry's, the things that I picked up, I was on a very limited budget because 2024 I went through pretty much a no buy. I spent very little money on supplies myself. Most of the supplies that came into the studio during 2024 were sponsored supplies. Well, the things that have come in 2025 since it has begun has mainly been sponsored supplies, but I have lifted my no buy and I am buying things here and there, being very careful where I buy them from. So, what I purchased in the actual Jerry store is I picked up a 5x7 pad of Soho Urban Artists, 140-pound cold press, acid free, 25% cotton watercolor paper. Now, this is in the form of a block. And I did use this paper to paint this illustration on for the video that came out this past Friday. Now, if you're not familiar with Soho, Soho is a brand or more of a house brand for Jerry's. So they use pre-existing manufacturers in order to white label products under the Soho brand. And what I must say is that I feel Jerry's has done a really good job with the Soho brand in picking good factories in order to have their products private or white. Well, with Jerry's, it's more like private label than white label, but pretty much the same. Um, and I do believe that this paper is so close and so reminiscent of the Fabriano Studio paper, that 25% cotton paper. The texture on it is almost identical. And though I don't work for Jerry's and I definitely don't work for their Soho division, and nor do I work for Fabriano, I do believe that this paper may be produced in the same factory with Fabriano Studio. It's just so close. It's so close to it that it's actually kind of ridiculous. And this is the paper we're going to be painting on today for our little mixed media project. That way we can keep it cute and tight and possibly quick. All right. I also picked up some additional Soho Urban Artist Select Stretched Watercolor Paper Canvases. Now, you guys know initially when I introduced this to you on the channel, I fell in love with these canvases. I painted um, a hibiscus. We used Artwell and Artwell Jelly Gouache. And that particular original painting is still up on Defiant Art website for purchase of original artwork if anybody is interested. I do believe it's up there. I do believe it's check. I'm saying it, but I'm gonna have to check. But and I don't have that sitting here with me, but I do have this one sitting here. I'm not sure if you guys remember this one, but this was the little Christmas gnome that we did on the stretch paper. I can't remember if it was live or if it was a pre-recorded video. But either way, I am absolutely in love with this stretched watercolor canvas. It is not a canvas style surface. It is hot pressed watercolor paper stretched around a wooden canvas frame to form a canvas. So you're painting on actual hot pressed paper. No need for gesso, no need for watercolor ground or anything of those nature. It takes water soluble products so well. Of course, it's hot pressed watercolor paper, so it should. Now, I don't mean you go throw massive amount of water in it because we all know hot press paper, unlike cold press, does not like to be have a lot of water thrown at it, but it performs really well. It holds color saturation really well. There's not a huge shift from wet to dry on these canvases, and it feels just like painting on hot press paper. As a matter of fact, it feels just like painting on this paper, which you guys know is that Potenate hot press sketchbook that I ordered from, was it Temu? Or it might have been AliExpress. I know you can order it under the, no. I ordered it under the Light Wish brand off of Amazon, but it is Potenate paper. It even still has the Potenate logo on it. But this paper and these boards remind me a lot of each other. Uh, Not quite the same quality because they're made by two different companies, but definitely in the same ballpark and realm. All right, let's move on. Woo! Now, as you guys know, I need to get the box. I thought I had everything, but I don't. I do need to get this box. So I have told you guys that Hippie Crafter reached out to me in order to test some of their products. I had the opportunity to go to the website and pick some things that I would be interested in using. And after back and forth, some mishapping of packagings and all of these good things, I finally got the products in. And you can look for a video on the watercolor paints coming out for the pre-record release this Wednesday. Yeah, so that's how early you're going to be seeing this. So I did pick the 72 count watercolor pencil set, and I also picked the 36 count half pan premium quality watercolor paint set. I'm going to be very honest. When I initially opened this box, it reminded me so much of the Doodle Hog 36 half pan watercolor set. Um, and that's a horse up. That's a story for a completely different day because their 36 half pan set has changed from the original set they released. But that's neither here nor there. Just the aesthetic of the palettes reminded me of each other all the way down to the way the digital swatch overlays looked. However, I will say that since I've started working with this, I do not believe that wherever Doodle Hog is having their paints made, that Hippie Crafter is as well. There seems to be a bit of a difference between the paint, and I'll definitely get more into that in this upcoming Wednesday's video. So the paints, like I said, will be the first thing that we get to, and then we'll be breaking into the watercolor pencils. Um, and without giving too much away, let me say this. Hippie Crafter is a crafting brand, so their products fit into the fun crafting realm versus the fine art realm. And we'll get more into that in the video. But definitely look for the paint information on the paints to come out this Wednesday. And not too long after that, we will also be getting to the watercolor pencils. We also had, I'm almost done, so we can get started on our little mixed media project today. So this is a product that has been on my artist wish list. So in the video description of most of my videos, based on a recommendation from several of you guys, I started a artist wish list. And that is a link to an Amazon list that shows things that I'm interested in getting into the studio, reviewing, testing for you guys. Um, Outside of the stuff that I purchased myself. Now, that list was started for those people who, for instance, might not want to join Patreon or things like that and still decided that they want to contribute to the studio and the things that go on here. And so this was on that list and it showed up about 2 days ago. So I'm more than sure I know who did it. Thank you so much, Daka, for sending this into the studio. And let me show you guys what it is. It is made in China, neither here nor there, but I'm so in love with this thing. Okay, so I originally saw it over on, or something similar to it on Christie's um, channel. She was painting one day and she pulled out this little palette that she was painting on, and I just thought it was so whimsical and cute. And I had to go look for it to find it. Now, the thing is, I did not find the exact one she had, but I found one that was really close to it. And I won't read this, but this is actually a letter that comes in the palette from the maker. Uh, Read through that later. But this is the cute and whimsical and beautiful little bubble palette. Look at this thing. Is this not gorgeous? So it is a ceramic bubble palette. The wheels are all bubbles, flat on the back, and the indentions in those wheels are deep enough for you to do all types of color mixing, and the footprint of it is very small. It'll fit on the corner of the desk very easily. I am just absolutely in love with this little cutie. Look at it. It's so cute. You know, I'm gonna leave it out. I'm gonna leave it out because we'll use it. It's so cute. I can't help it. All right. So that came in. I'm very excited about that. Thank you so very much. Specifically, I'm gonna call out Amy because I know this was Amy's doing. Thank you, Amy, so much. I really appreciate that, and I appreciate the fact that you go on that artist wish list and send things into the studio to be tested. You are a absolute doll, my friend. All right. So last thing I'm gonna show you guys before we jump into our little demo for today is a product that came in from my good friend and all of our close artist friend, Miss Christy Rice over at Paint Crush. As most of you already know, Chrissy and I do a lot of work together, collaboration together, be on each other's lives and all this good carrying out a hoo-ha. So I moderate for her over on the Palm Street app. If any of you have ever been over on there, and as a result, she sends me goodies and things to say thank you. She asked, "Was there any?" And this was sometimes last year before Christmas. She asked me, "Was there any watercolors that I did not have?" That I did not necessarily want to purchase right now, but I did want to try. And I told her, yes. As a matter of fact, there is. I am very curious in trying out Young Graham. So she curated or made up and cured down a little palette of M. Graham paints for me and quarter pans and sent them in. They came in that, she has these pink little bubble envelopes she sent things in. It is so adorable and so cute. And it was wrapped in another little bubble wrapper for protection. And here we have the M. Graham and Company watercolors. There is a quinacridone rose, a fibril red, a scarlet fibril, a Indian yellow, a yellow ochre, a Hansa yellow deep, permanent green pale, cobalt teal, which I very excited about. I've heard a lot about M. Graham's Cobalt Teal. There's Turquoise, another one I'm really excited about. Quinacridone Violet, Mineral Violet, and Burnt Sienna. And do I have it upside down? I do not. Now, the thing about M. Graham is that they will travel. And see, here is, they did, and that's the only thing about M. Graham that, a lot of artists say and talk about is that they do. Is that a glue dot? Yeah, I think it's on a glue dot. Let's see. Can I pull it up? Okay, that's a glue dot. I just want to put it back in place to where I think it came from. I'm thinking that this is how it was intended to be. And as you can see, those paints still have not dried down and cured completely. M. Graham is a honey-based watercolor, and I live in Texas, which is most of the time hot and humid, even during what's supposed to be the winter time. So I do not suspect that these will ever completely cure down. Um, but I'm very excited to give them a try. There are 12 colors here. This is a great starter little mixing palette. And as you guys know, a little bit of watercolor goes a long way. So these should last me for quite a while. You can see where the paint kind of carried to the top of the tin. So that's definitely the one thing I'll say about honey-based paints. Honey-based paints, you want to try to keep them as cool as possible so that they don't melt. And I probably won't be traveling with these because I don't want them running all over the place in any shape, form, or fashion. So I am going to be eventually getting around to testing and reviewing the M. Graham watercolors as well. I'm so excited about these. You guys have known Lindsay like raves about M. Graham on a regular basis. They happen to be her favorite watercolors. And that's kind of where I got my philosophy on my favorite watercolor from. As you guys know, my favorite watercolor is Mission Gold. I prefer the pure pigment over the rest of them. However, the entire collection, and we all have our own favorites for one reason or another. Lindsay loves M. Graham because it was the first watercolor professional paint that she bought and the one she's used to using. Not that it's necessarily better than any other professional paints out there, which is the same way I feel about Mission Gold. Now, I know Mission Gold has questionable pigment sometimes. And those pigments can have questionable light fast ratings, but I don't care. It is bright and bold and beautiful. It falls in the realm of professional watercolors. Even those colors that are the most fugitive have at least a 25-year lifespan on them. So for me, it checks all the boxes to be my favorite. And that, my friends, is going to conclude our little show and tell section. We can go ahead and start gearing up for what we're doing today. Now, I am going to be painting on that Soho Urban paper because I'll be honest, I do like it. I like it more than say Canson or Stratham. It runs a it kind of runs hand in hand with Strathmore 400 and 500 series for me, but it's definitely more affordable because I think this little 20 sheet 5x7 pad only cost me like $4. And as you can see, it does wonderful with holding colors and saturation. But again, that is Mission Gold, which is kind of a bright paint to begin with. All right, so for products, I'm going to be using. Oh, yeah, you guys know I'm in the phase of pulling out things that are in backstash that hasn't been used in a minute, so I can start feeling like I'm at least making some type of dent in all these watercolor and art products that I have. So I pulled out the aqua bricks. I'm not sure if you guys remember that, and of course I'm still testing the Crayola signature pencils, which we'll have a review coming up at some point. You guys know how slow I am with color pencil reviews. So I'm thinking that those will be the main two products I use today. And I have decided I went on and pre-sketched out this little still life illustration of some lemon slices or some orange slices. I haven't decided just yet which one it's going to be. But I wanted to keep it really cute, really simple, something that you guys could paint along and do if you wanted to. It wouldn't take us too long. And then I also wanted something that would allow me to showcase colored pencils on top of a water soluble product. So at this point, I'm gonna jump into the comment section, see what you guys are saying, what you're talking about, see if there's any questions, any comments, and then we'll jump right into creating. Hello, Eleanor. Hello, Tisa. Hanging in there is better than not hanging. Yeah. Yes, that's a ruling that you sent me. Oh, I think I put that cerulean in the. So Tisa sent me. Hmm. Yep, she sent me Van Gogh tube set, which you guys will hear more about when we get to the legacy student grade watercolor comparison. Um, and I do have both the Van Gogh half pan formula as well as the tube. Well, anyway, so Tisa sent me a set of two Van Gogh, and in that tube Van Gogh there was a M gram that kind of went everywhere, and that would happen. This one. It's got to be. It's M gram cerulean blue, and of course, by the time it made it to me, because of the way the paint is formulated, it it was everywhere. But yeah, see, she even wrote M gram on the side of that. So here's what I'm gonna do real quick while we're at this. Thanks for reminding me of that, Tisa. I can add that in with. I'm gonna just cut off a little magnetic strip. This is how I put my half pans in. I buy this magnetic tape. It is 10 feet and it's a half-inch wide. And I use that in order to, it's real economical. It's like $4. And that's what I use to, what did I do with that palette? Here we go. Pan up. Speaking of pan up my colors, I am definitely working on the overstock palettes that I told you guys about. I finished up Lucas 1862. I finished up Mission Gold. I finished up the Camel watercolors. I'm currently working on panning up White Knights. And after White Knights, I will be working on Marie's Masters. And then as far as those that step down into top grade or top student grade, I have the Paul Rubens Chaumet, the Milian, pretty excellent in tubes. I'm gonna make some sets of that in case people haven't tried out pretty excellent. And then I'm going to be also panning up some sets of the Shinhan Professional, the Shinhan watercolor that comes in the blue box, not the PWC. So and I may do some PWC as well. I don't know. I haven't quite decided on it if I want to get if I want to give any of that paint away. So I'm just going to stick a little magnet on the bottom of this. It may not even fit in this tin. I don't think it's going to. I think I'm pushing it. We're going to see. Ha! It will. There we go. So now I've added a cerulean blue to this set. Let's see. I'm going to just on the bottom here. Add in cerulean blue so I know what's in there. All right. Thanks for that reminder, my friend. Thank you for that reminder. Now that M. Graham Cerulean Blue is at home with the rest of his brothers and sisters. All right, where were we? All right, Tisa. I hope you have a good day, love. And let's see. All right, let's get started. I feel like moving slow all of a sudden. All right. So I'm just gonna jump in now. Listen, this is not a complicated. No, this is not a complicated illustration at all. If you guys remember the aqua bricks, they look like this. It is literally like a brick of paint. Um, there are 10 of them. It came with, I have nets in here, and I have no idea where they came from. And then there's like a water soakable sponge that you could use on the go. So I don't remember what a swap sheet for that is. So we're just gonna kind of wing it. Um, I feel like maybe I need to grab some watercolors just in case. I have a palette of. I have a palette of camel watercolors sitting here. I don't know where they are, but I do have my mission goals, so that'll work. They're always sitting on my by my desk. So I'm just gonna go ahead and jump in. I think what I'll do is I'll use Christie's travel brushes just so you guys can get another peek at those. I'll go ahead and pull out the Joy Traveler as well. And where is 40-inch dagger? Which you can see I've been painting with. I paint with it quite a bit actually. All right. So I think I'm gonna turn mine into lemons instead of oranges. I'm gonna start off with a round. You can use a round, whatever size you want to. I'm gonna start off with a number 6 round. And let's see. I did not pre-spray these. I don't remember needing to. Uh, I love this old palette. And then I'm going to take that yellow and go in and quickly glaze over the flesh. Like I said, I'm gonna try to move relatively fast. So and so that I don't keep you guys longer, my throat is scratchy and it will not, the frog won't release. And I'm just taking care. I mean, and if you don't want to draw, you can always find like a coloring, excuse me, like a coloring book page. And I'm keeping it light. I do have, I do remember that the aqua bricks are pretty pigmented, so I don't want it to be too bright, which is why I wet the surface first. But I'm not using a lot of water because I don't want it to like take a long time to dry. So I'm just getting it damp really. And if I need to add more water as I go, I will. But trying to keep in mind that, we're working on limited time. It is alive and we are going to need some drying time. Now here I'm not being too careful about anything. I'm just staying inside my lines. It is and the reason I'm only putting down a light color because I don't know if any of you are familiar with the way I do my oranges and lemons, but after the first layer dries, the rest of the fruit is built through line work on top of the first layer. And if you've never seen it, you'll get a chance to shortly. All right. And I think this is pretty much all we're going to need to do for the first layer. And I'm going to automatically go ahead and start working on the rhyme part as well. We will eventually be putting some color pencil in that as well. All right, let's go ahead and we're going to get some more saturated yellow color here. We need it here. That's, and if it runs into the flesh, whatever, we'll clean it up later. And using the very tip of that brush, I'm going to trace the outline of that lemon. Just like so. Now I'm going to, let's see here, touch on that red just a little, see if I can get it mixed in another well here. And then in another well, I'll take a little of that red and mix it with some yellow. And it's just going to darken it just a bit. And that brush is holding too much water for me at the moment. So I'm going to switch over to the number one, cat's tongue. Bristles are more compact, shorter, not going to hold as much water. And I'm just going to use the tip. Oh, yeah, that's not working out right. Let's try that again. Yeah, you see, go. That's a little darker. I might need to wait on it to dry because it's acting as if I don't know what I'm doing. Let's see if we can. Let's see, where else do I have fish? I want to turn my paper here. And I mean, we're really just doing the first layer of color with the water, with the aqua bricks. We're gonna go enhance everything with color pencils before it's over with. Beautiful saturated color. Let's see. And I'm just trying to map out the points where the rhyme is, or the peel, or the hull, or whatever you would like to call it. And trying to keep my hands steady to put that thin line around the rest of that ring. You know, when it comes to art, I have found that sometimes the hardest things to do are the things that seem like that should be the most simple, right? It's just me. I don't think it's just me. I don't think it is anyway. These brushes come to an amazing point. That's another thing I love about them. You can do so much with one brush. Okay, there we go. We have an illustration starting to emerge. Think about how I'm gonna do the shadows here. I'll check comments again in a minute. Let me get through getting down a base layer of color on everything. And as we're doing the outer parts of our lemons or oranges, if that's what you're doing, it should give that center part time to dry. And it's a little shaky. That's okay. I am using very little water, just a little in the mix here and there. Let's see. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. We've used one color so far, mainly, which is just lemon yellow. If you're using watercolors, of course, just go for your lemon yellow or the warmest yellow you have leaning towards a lemon color versus leaning towards the golden sun. Although the golden sun color would be nice as probably like shadows. Trying to keep my line thin. As I draw in a straight line with a brush, sometimes my pressure will increase, making my lines thicker than I want them to be. So, practice makes perfect on it with brush control. But sometimes I'll just take a blank piece of paper and literally just like practice different brush strokes and brush control. All right, let's get it a second to dry itself, and then we're going to start actually building the flesh. And I'm actually saving the white part. Of course, we're going to be adding color to it, but it's going to be really watery color just to give it a tint. But we'll work on that later. And ultimately, it's going to be plenty of bleed proof on it as well. Let's go ahead and throw in my little leaf. I don't know. Let's see. Let's get some of this green here. Love this palette. And that's not quite earthy enough. I'm going to mix some brown into that. See if I can give that a little bit more of an olive feel, maybe. Mix a little blue in it as well. There we go. And then I'm gonna use that to just base in. Let's see if I'll put a little more water in that. See if we can just base in our little leaf. And while it's still wet, I'm gonna really quickly try to mix some more blue. into that green and see if we can get some shadow here. Put some here on the tip. We're gonna let it dry and see how it looks, see if we need to add anything else to it. It may be just fine, just like that. And all we need to do is put some veinage in it. All right, let's see here. Doo-doo-doo. Beautiful bubble palette like that one on Etsy, only it was a full circle with more mixing space in between. Oh, I might have to go check that out. Thanks for that, Elizabeth. Hello, Elizabeth. Hello, View. Welcome over. Thank you so much, my friend. Yeah, the bubble palette, it is so, so cool. So, so cool. The paints that I'm using, Elizabeth, are the aqua bricks. If you remember the Creator Color aqua bricks that we tested and reviewed a couple of months back. You can find a review for it under the Thrifty Review playlist on the channel if you guys haven't seen it. Really cool product. They're made by Creator Color, which is another house brand for Jerry's Autorama. And basically come in this little brick form. You can pick them up and draw with them. If you water them down enough, you can use them in a watercolor type consistency. If you use them thick enough, they give you more of a gouache consistency. They're truly a hybrid product. Now, I personally am not really into picking them up and drawing with them. You can do that, but yeah, that's not quite my thing. But I love using them as either a watercolor or a gouache, and I really like using them in mixed media work. Um, as you can see, they're opaque. They have a more opaque feel to them, especially the thicker you started to apply it. But yeah, these are the aqua bricks. So let's jump back into what we're doing here. I want to kind of add. Um, let's go ahead and start working on the actual flesh. I'm gonna stick with this. What am I using? A 1 inch cat's tongue brush. And I'm actually gonna start with the yellow we used to kind of base things in, and I'm going for mass tone color here. So I'm not really mixing any water into this at all, other than the water that was already on my brush. I do not want it uh, too wet per se. And all I'm gonna do is now you may have better luck doing this with like your liner brush, and I'm just throwing in lost and found lines of that color, starting at the top of the fleshy part, and then just kind of bringing it down through there. And I'm not really worried about it being right next to each other because there's going to be quite a few colors that go into this. And I'm going to speed this up and move a little faster. The key to this is making sure that you bring that line work all the way up to the top of where that flesh begins, right? And this is a really quick and easy way I use to get a really realistic feel with fruits like lemons and oranges and kiwis, things of that nature, citrusy stuff. It doesn't work with every fruit, but this is a great way to not put in too much work, but again, get a very realistic feel. And I'm trying to keep these lines thin. I'm not really worried about them meeting up, more so than just making sure. Because what I want to do is create that illusion of those juice pockets that are in your sliced fruit. So we're starting off with the lemon, and then we're going to go in and we're going to be building deeper color into it, including shadow. So yes, we'll actually mix a neutral from our blue and brown, and you'll be surprised at how that is going to help set the flesh off. I am putting those strokes in a directional pattern, so I am following the direction of the image that part of the image that I'm working on. And just like that, you started to add some life to your lemon. And like I said, you may have better feel more confident in this using like a liner brush, the tip of a really sharp pointed round brush. And it may look like it's gonna all run together at first, but trust the process. Trust the process. And I don't know what's going on. It's like something doesn't want me to talk today, but I'm gonna muscle through as long as you guys okay with me clearing my throat. I mean, it kind of is what it is. I can't help it. And I don't have the ability to view. I don't use StreamYard or anything like that, so I can't go to a commercial to cough. That was hilarious. I had so much fun last night. It was really cool. Um, have to go over there with an open mind and an open heart and a light spirit. Don't go over the views channel taking yourself too seriously and being all, you know, sticky in the mud. Although I would have to admit that I don't think the thrifty community has any stick in the mud type artists. I think every artist I've ever met through the thrifty community has been open minded and willing to try out different types of things in order to see how it'll improve their art. And I love that. I absolutely love that. Do, 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 do. And I'm just throwing, and you can see I'm not really, I'm not being too particular about this. I'm gonna wet the brush just the tip of it, just a little bit, so I can pick up some more mass tone yellow. And probably should have used more transparent water soluble colors, especially due to the fact that I'm going to be adding color pencil. But you know what? We're going to make it do what it do. I'm already thinking about the next color I want to add in. It's going to be a little bit more of a darker yellow mixed with right now. If you have a yellow ochre in your set, that would actually be a great color to add in your darker yellow tone to your flesh. But because I don't have a yellow ochre in this set, I'm going to have to try to mix one or color close to it. And then I'm actually going to be switching brushes. I am going to switch over to a liner brush. Turn your paper as you work. Always turn your paper so that you pull your stroke towards you so that it's comfortable. Don't force yourself into painting at odd angles, like I do sometimes when I'm shooting video. All right, let's see here. Let's get this last little flesh in down here on these, or start of the flesh. Excuse me. And I'm just using the tip of that cat's tongue. Look at that. That's not bad at all. I love a good cat tongue brush. Now I know that you know of those brushes that Christie sell, the quarter-inch dagger is the one that's kind of advertised as a go all do all brush. But I am a really huge fan of cat tongues. I always have been. Even before I knew who Christie was and became involved in the paintbrush family. Carry a lot of paint to be golden Teflon brushes. That's one of the most impressive things about them. And we are almost there. And by the time we're done with this, we should be able to move right back to the first one we started on because this is not super wet paint at all. Again, try to keep it as directional as possible. Just realized I did not do all of that rhyme right there, so let's close that off. All right, let's go ahead and put in some. It's not looking too bad. Look at that. It's starting. It's looking halfway decent already. I'm gonna grab this liner. This is Christie's number one liner. You can use whatever liner brush you want. It doesn't have to be this one. Um, they're not the best for mixing. I shouldn't be mixing with this brush, but I'm going to. Because you know, like the finer arts, the finer arts. All right, I want to mix some of this green here. And let's mix that with some of that ultramarine color. Okay, and then I'm actually going to also mix in some brown. I'm trying to get this darker. All right, I'm acting like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm going to grab that cat's tongue. Let's really mix some color here. Some of that green. Wipe off the side of my brush. I am not cleaning it. Going straight into the blue. A little bit more of that blue. I like that. That's pretty. And I want it a little bit more neutral. So since we already have the blue mixed in, that's why I'm mixing in the brown. Because we know that that ultramarine blue and the burnt sienna will neutralize each other and make a neutral. So basically all I'm doing is making a darker green here because we started with a base that was green. All right, I think that's good. I think I like that color. All right, now I'm gonna grab that liner and get it good and juicy and soupy in there. And let's see, we are going to paint this leaf here. Hello, Crystal. And we are going to put in some really cute little veins on this. Keep in mind, you want to stagnate your veins. You don't want them to run side by side so it'll look a little bit more realistic. And you can darken in the base of your leaf and give yourself just a little bit of a hit and miss outline. Do not outline completely. You just want to hit and miss, because you don't want to give it a cartoony feel, right? Like so. Now you can add some dimension to that, get some of that green, and I'm gonna water it down a little bit. I'm still using the liner brush as if though, it's a real paint, like you're supposed to be doing super duper type paintings with it. And I'm just gonna go in and kind of brush in color at the base. And because I'm using that liner brush, it's helping me not put in a lot of color at all. You can get it a little bit thicker if you want to, a little bit heavier. Remember to try to follow the shape of your leaf on the bottom down here. Let's add a little color dimension. I'm doing what's known as linear line work in order to do this. We're not necessarily painting versus just drawing in a bunch of lines. And let's do a little bit on the tip down here. Again, just drawing in linear lines. And then I'm going to actually trace that top side just so you can get I want to clean up that because I went outside my mind right there. So I actually made that leaf a little bit thicker to clean it up. All right, and then we'll finish that up with colored pencils. Let's go ahead and move back into our flesh. So I want to mix the next yellow to go in. And I'm going to start with clean that brush off. Now I have green on top of the yellow again. Hold on. Let's wipe that off. All right. Now let's start mixing our next color. We'll start with the yellow. Again, I'm using the cat's tongue to mix with so I don't grab too much. Still have some green in that brush, but that's okay. Because lemons do have green in them as well sometimes in the fleshy tone. Now I'm going to slowly, and I do mean slowly, add red into that. I'm gonna see if I can get this to a burnt sienna color. I'm gonna mix in red and I'm gonna mix in brown. What did I say? Burnt umber? Yellow ochre. Jeez. Work with me. Feel like I used too much red in it already. Let's see. That's not a bad yellow ochre. Not a bad yellow ochre at all. Okay. Now I'm gonna switch over to the liner brush again. And this time I'm going in and adding in. Actually, I don't want the liner brush too small. I thought it would be perfect. So what I'm going to do at this point is start to form more of. Now I'm using less strokes here. I'm not putting in as much, and I'm tracing the top part of that flesh. And I'm not going down through it because we're going to be using bleed proof for that. Tracing around the top of that flesh. This should definitely be giving it a little more dimension from your eye, hopefully. Trying to keep that linear line work straight. Now, everyone won't paint lemons and oranges like this, which is perfectly fine. But like I said, this is a trick I use to paint, to get quick work of it. Look at the dimension in that side now in comparison to the opposite side of, of that lemon flesh. You just start to see the difference. Let's hope I mixed enough of that color. Well, you guys are hearing the sirens outside. It's actually about normal. Oh, geez. That is actually about normal. And I'm just doing the same technique I did with the yellow. I'm trying not to necessarily lay it directly on top of it, but if I do, I'm not too concerned. Now, the only other thing I'm going to add to this is going to be bleed proof and a little bit of shadow. And that is going to give us a pretty recognizable lemon slice that the brain is going to look at, your eyes going to look at, and your brain is going to be like, oh, lemon. There we go. All right, see? Hold it up so you can see it a little bit better in comparison to the other lemon slices that are sitting there. All right, let's knock the rest of this out really quick. So, what does everybody have planned for the rest of their Monday? I think I might get up and go to Jerry's. I don't need to, but I think I might get up and go see if it's any newly released anything. Although I know it probably isn't, but they normally send me like a email blast or something like that. Um, but maybe they'll be less busy today, and I can actually shoot the video I want to shoot. We have to see. We'll definitely have to see. There's another privately owned art store in downtown Dallas um, that I was looking up the last time we were all talking about different art stores. Um, and I want to kind of go check it out. I haven't gone there just yet. Hi, Marianne. Hi, Crystal. Welcome, friends. I'm so glad that you made it. We are just painting a really quick mixed media piece of work. We're using aqua bricks. We're going to use some colored pencils. We're going to use some gouache. We're going to throw quite a few products at a very actually simple painting, but the hopes is to make it look somewhat realistic-ish and recognizable. But yeah, I'm curious to know, what are you all doing with the rest of your day? Now, of course, we're gonna have that video coming out Wednesday. So I definitely want you all to set your calendars, set your reminders so that you do not miss that pre-recorded video that comes out Wednesday. I'm hoping I have enough color here to do all of them. It doesn't take much in some of these in this case, because you just put in a few strokes here and there, and you definitely don't want to eliminate all of your original yellow. Okay, I'm starting to like the way that looks. That is starting to turn out pretty decently. Rainy here, I'm staying in and painting. Yes, I'm gonna be painting all day, Marianne, all day. I need to finish this Wednesday's video. I need to start working on the real-time tutorial for Patreon Creation Station for the month of March. I haven't quite decided what we're gonna do. I have some ideas, but I haven't finalized anything for that one. I was sort of thinking maybe the painting that I did with the Hippie Crafter paints um, would be what I use. Just put it as a time lapse. But since that is sort of a sponsored video, sort of, and the reason I say sort of is because you guys know, as of yet, I have not started to do paid reviews. Um, most of the reviews I do for companies is just, my reward is the free product. I did have Artwell ask me if I'd done paid reviews before. Um, and I think they're about to provide me with think about it. They did tell me that they're about to provide me with a coupon code so that my viewers can get a percentage off of their products on their website. And this Wednesday, when this video comes out, when the Hippie Crafter video comes out, there'll also be a code from Hippie Crafter that can be used to uh, purchase their products. I actually became an affiliate for Hippie Crafter. Now, if you're new to the art world and you don't know what an affiliate is an influencer or an artist that works with an art company. And then we make a small percentage whenever someone uses our link to purchase a product. You hear a lot about it with Amazon. A lot of the Amazon links are influencer links. And it's not that you pay more, you're going to pay more. You're going to still get the product for the same price. It's just a nice way for an artist to make a penny or two um, off of helping a company kind of promote itself. And let's see if I can get this done with that little bit left. I'm gonna have to because I'm not gonna mix anymore. So I've got to make this little bit left on this palette work. Now, if you want to, with a few of these, and I might just show you what I mean, you can throw green in there because you will have some green, some of your lemon will have sort of that green tint to the flesh from where it hadn't quite turned all the way ripe. All right, so there we are so far. And it's starting to come more and more alive. as we get to it. I think I want to boost up the yellow in my rhyme area. And I'm just going to paint directly from the brick. I really should just wait and do that with colored pencils. But the thicker part of the rhyme, I am going to go ahead and add more color to. Just to make it stand out a little more where that rhyme color is starting. Some more saturated layer of color. Now, you can stop. If you're following along with this, or if you decided to do this later, this is actually, there's that net again. I'm gonna kill it. I'm gonna kill it when I get off this live. It's gonna die. I'm just gonna tell you now. It is going to die a very smashed death. It is going to get clapped as soon as I get up from this part this. All right. Now the only other thing I want to do here is, do we need to put down? Well, I guess we can make it lay directly on the table, which would cause we would need shadow. Let's see. Shadow would have to be around the entire thing if light was coming down uh, on the top. Or maybe we could just, there could be shadow here on where they kind of, let's see, a little shadow here from where they kind of overlay on top of each other right there. Let's see, where else would we have shadow? We would have shadow here where, again, they kind of cover each other. Mm, light will be kind of shining there. You would already see it. These would be the darker areas. We're going to see how that works out. I may actually bring that out around that base just to make it stand out a little bit more. But okay, now I want to put in just a smidget of watered down. Yeah, yellow is the main color we're working with. We're mixing it with other colors, but the main one is the yellow. And then I want to just like put down the lightest, watered down. I mean, super watered down. I don't want a lot of color at all. And this stuff is, these aqua bricks are a little strong. And I'm just going to use that to tint the white area of that paper here and there around the rhymey area. It's going to help the bleed proof stand out a lot when we actually go in with the bleed proof. So I'm going to finish this up. I'm going to check the comment section and then I'm going to move on to the actual color pencils part of this. Because basically, I could really stop here, add in the shadow, and you would get the point. But I definitely want to put in the bleed proof. All right. ahead and put in my shadow color now, mixing the blue. Make sure I mix up enough here. Add some water to that. That blue is actually a little bit more phthalo-ish than ultramarine, but and then I'll mix in some of the brown or the burnt sienna. We want to make a neutral here for our shadow. It's pretty. I've started to keep like scratch paper on my desk under my work as I work in order to test color mixing with. I'm gonna add a little bit more blue to that. It got a little too brownish tone. That's actually almost green. It is. It has a green tint to it. I'm gonna mix black into that to darken it. I don't want that green. I really don't. I'm gonna mix more black into that. At least we know we're not just working with a black color. It has all different stuff mixed into it, so it won't be dull and it won't be flat. Okay, that's better. And I'm going to just slightly wet. I was gonna put the shadow, and it's watered, so it's watered down so that it will be light for right now, and then I can build on it if I need to. Like so. Straighten it out. And that's the reason I don't like do fine when I'm doing an ink and wash. This is one of the reasons that I don't do my fine lining until after everything is done, is because I want to sometimes as I paint, my illustrations will get bigger. I'm constantly like drawing as I'm painting. So if I'm going to use a fine liner, I use it at the end, just in case, the size of my composition should change as I'm working. And that'll be the first layer. You can build more on that if you would like. Every layer you add will darken it a little more. Not bad. Not bad at all. All right, what else I want to do here with the paints? I am going to switch over to that liner brush now. And that's because I'm gonna try to start adding some shadow into really thin line work. Really thin line work of shadow into, ooh, way too thick, way too much. It's too much, too much, too much, too much. Very little. Didn't mean for that to happen, but it's there now. I'm just using the tip of that brush to draw in some very thin linear line work. into that lemon. I mean, just hidden and missing here and there, not too much at all. It's just gonna add just a little definition to it. You don't even have to do it everywhere. Just a little here, a little there. Just making sure to reach the top part of my fruit as flesh as I do it. And there, just like that, just a little here and there to add just a little definition to what you're doing. Do not get too carried away because you're really not trying to put shadow in. It's more so something for that yellow to kind of contrast against. And notice quick, quick linear strokes, barely touching my paper every single time. Really quick here and there, trying to make sure not to layer anything. You mean like like any dark on dark. That's what I'm trying to say. Hopefully that makes sense. All right. And got a little going on here. And we're just giving a little life. We're turning a flat image and making it look as if though it's not flat. That's basically what's going on. We're making a flat image look like it has roundness and wholeness, like you should be able to possibly reach out and grab it, you know? And again, hidden and missing, not too much. You can really go overboard with that shadow really quickly. So be careful. Be very careful. I have a pretty heavy hand, so I am constantly in my head, you know, reminding myself to pull back. And if you're familiar with Christie brushes, you know that this liner brush will actually hold so much more paint than I'm putting in it. And that's part of the problem. I need to, be very mindful of that, which is why you see me re-dipping so many times because I'm purposely only putting the tip of that brush into that paint. It helps me with control of the color in the water. Mhm. Just a few, just a few here and there. It's just gonna help the fleshy stand out. And you wait till we go in there with the bleed proof. Oh my goodness, it's gonna be gorgeous. In my opinion. Okay, let me do fewer over here. I feel like I was getting a little heavy-handed with that. Like I said, it's easy to go overboard really quick with the shadow part. Super easy. So I'm gonna do less. I'll check comments in just a second, see if I've missed anything, or see if you guys have any questions, if you added any advice to the chat or anything like that. All right, let me do an evaluation here and see where we are. How do I feel about that? Okay, I think I feel good about that. All right, let's see. Could stop there, in all honesty. It's a pretty nice illustration, but I want to boost it with some bleed proof. Let's go ahead and close up these paints. I'm going to pull out some color pencils here. I do want to make it truly mixed media. I mean, we could just use the aqua bricks, which isn't technically watercolor, and the gouache, and that still would be considered like mixed media. But I definitely want to use some color pencils. Now, as you guys know, I've been testing the Crayola signature color pencils. I don't know if you guys got to see what was done with those pencils. This is another Soho product, like the paper we're painting on now, but this is the Soho Urban Artist heavyweight drawing paper that I use for color pencils and some watercolor pencils. I know you guys might remember this. And the paper works well. It doesn't take water like extremely well, but it does okay with it. Like here, I used some watercolor pencils, and that turned out okay. I was kind of playing around with trying to do marbles. uh, didn't quite get done with it, but what I did do was pretty decent. This was done with watercolor pencils as well. I forget. No, this was done with Derwent Graphitent pencils, which was love those pencils. The Derwent Graphitent pencils are so cool, especially when you use them in combination with the Graphitent pan paints. Mwah, beautiful kits of paints. This was alcohol marker, alcohol marker, and this was colored pencil. I think this was done with the with those um, Sioux color. Those Sioux color pencils, those really economical pencils that I ordered off Amazon. I'm not sure if you guys remember the Soft Series Sioux color. I think this is a really cool kind of Prismacolor alternative. If you're in the Prismacolors, they're really soft. They go down really well. They blend amazingly, as you can see. Um, and they are really, when I say really economical and cheap, absolutely. All right, let's see. And you can see where some alcohol marker transferred because I was using those Sanjoki alcohol markers. I really had fun doing the sushi. It's been faded a little bit. That was done so that was done January 2024. So it's over a year old, that particular illustration. But the color held up pretty well. Um, that was an illustration I did following Lindsay the Frugal Crafter. This was colored pencils as well. I can't Xena color. I think this was those Xena colored pencils that I did this one with. I'm not really crazy about Xena color products. They are not bad. Don't get me wrong, but um, for the price, I think there are some other comparable color pencils that work just as well. But they aren't bad. They aren't bad. And I started to do this cupcake, and as you can see, I haven't finished. I have to go back and get it done. Color pencil work takes a while. It does. It is not as quick as using a water soluble medium by any means. Here is blueberries, and you guys have seen this before. And this is the pair that came out a few weeks ago on the channel that was done with the Crayola signature color pencils. Now, I did not get nearly as much dimension in this pair as I wanted to. You can see a little bit of the shadow kind of shaping it out and giving it a little bit of roundness. But they did not layer the way I wanted them to really layer. And of course, they come in a very limited color palette. This is, I think the range of the signature is 24 pencils only. So I kind of wanted to use them in a mixed media environment today. And I probably will be doing one other standalone piece of colored pencil work with these before I actually get around to the review. I want to see if I can get better definition and just a little bit more, although I feel like this went towards the realistic-ish feel. I want to see if I can get a little bit more realistic with this brand of pencils. Of course, as of up to this point, you know, you guys know I'm a Karen Dodge pencil fan. But there are so many economical pencils on the market that are really, really good. And here in Thrifty World, that's what we do. We try products like that alongside professional products to see how they're going to work out. So I'm grabbing this yellow from the pencil set, and I'm just gonna go in and put on some light scumbles. This is gonna add opacity, especially on my rhyme areas. Look at that. They layer on top of these aqua bricks pretty well, actually. So, like, if you wanted to do a color pencil piece, and color pencil work takes quite a while. So, like if you wanted to do your base layer in a water soluble medium and then go on top of it with your colored pencils, it would be absolutely amazing for adding making your color pencil work go a lot quicker. So you could get a colored pencil piece done in half the time by doing your first layer with something that's like water soluble, so to speak. All right. I love that. Love that. Love that. Love that. These pencils are much better, in my opinion, than the regular Crayola pencils. I would have to put these on the same level as the Crayola twistables. Now, I don't know if anyone other than me has ever used those twistable Crayola pencils, but let me tell you, those are some opaque, soft pencils. Now, they don't remind you of your standard pencil because they have the plastic barrel and the actual pencil lead twists down out of the barrel. But amazing, amazing, amazing pencils in my opinion. Now I'm just gonna go and sharpen up the outer part of the rind. They work so beautifully together. And that pencil is so soft. Look how much of that lead I used down already, just from what I've been doing. That's how kind of soft that pencil is, which is actually pretty amazing for a Crayola product, I have to say. I think they did an excellent job with the signature pencils versus like their regular Crayola pencil. I really wasn't expecting him to have to go to work today. That kind of shot my plans out of smithereens. ah, okay. Make that money, honey. Make that money. As much as stuff costs nowadays, and I am just sharpening up. Look at that. Look at the difference that makes. And that's a Crayola. That's a Crayola, friend. That's a Crayola. Like, I can't stress how impressive that is, considering what it is. Let's see, what else do I need? I needed this line right here. Needs to be deepened. All right, let's see. Did I want to throw a few lines in here and there? Not that I really need it, but just so I can have some more opaque lines in there. Hmm. Just a few opaque. There we go. All right. I'm going to switch my colors now, and I don't have a yellow ochre in this set, so I'm going to go for a step up. This is called goldenrod. Now, all I'm going to do is go in and kind of hit the corners of the rhyme just to add a little bit more dimension to everything. Um, Up under these areas where they would meet. Hmm. It's a beautiful color, this goldenrod. It really is. Ooh, it's the fall. And it's a layer, they're layering. I mean, they are sticking. It's probably not sticking as much as like a Prismacolor, a Durant Chromaflow, um, a Caran Luminance, um, a Faber-Castell Polychromos. Like, it's not going to lay down like that. But this is Crayola we're talking about, so you shouldn't be expecting it to lay down like one of those. Okay, I think all I want to do now is darken the shadows and put on some bleed proof. I'm gonna grab my black and my gray, and I'm going to go in with that gray and hit those shadows, making small, compact circles that connect together. And I'm doing this in gray because I'm going to put the black directly under where the item touches the table. We want some variation in color, and we want it to look like it kind of blends out. You'll get to see exactly what that looks like in just a second. All right, let's see. And on this side, my friends, isn't it amazing the kind of work you can put into something so simple? And the more you layer, the more you do to it, kind of take a step back, look at it, see what it needs, the more realistic ish of a feel you will get, my friends. Look at that. Love that. Love that. Love that. All right, I'm going to switch over to, oh, well, I didn't do anything with my leaf. Let me spruce up that leaf right quick because it's looking a little ho hummy. I'm going to use the yellow green, and I'm actually just going to lay down a layer of color all over that green. And then I'm gonna grab this darker green. It's just called green. Haha. All right. And we're gonna use that to make sure that our veining stands out from that other darker area we were trying to put in there earlier. Now, hold your ears. I had to sharpen. Look at that. That is how sharp you can get the tip on that Crayola signature. That's using just your standard disc electrical sharpener. And they don't really break off like that, which I was actually kind of impressed with, that they don't just snap off like a Prismacolor will. Now, you hear me up and see I said that and it snapped just because it wanted to prove me wrong. But not to say that anything that you guys know I love Prismacolor. Love them, love them, love them. Outside of Karen Dosh, they would probably be my second choice for colored pencils. I like the polys and all those other things. I like brute funer color pencils. Um, I think even the Masters Touch Color pencils that I bought from Hobby Lobby years and years ago are really soft and really good pencils. I've enjoyed my Castle Art pencils. I actually have quite a few sets of colored pencils that I felt were really good. The Arteza color pencils were really good. Those Prina color pencils that you can get off of Amazon, mwah, chef's kiss, chef's kiss with those pencils. All right, let's see. What else are we doing here? We're taking the black and we're going directly sharpening. Hold your ears. You want a sharp pencil lid for this part, okay? I didn't really have a sharp pencil lid for the rest, but for this, you definitely want a sharp pencil lid. You're going to go literally directly under where the item touches the table, and you're going to draw as dark as you can, as close to the item as possible without coloring on top of it. Now, what that just did was give you a little bit more visual impression of the fact that that's where the lemons touch the table, and then as it comes out, it's sort of a diffusing shadow. And so we're just going to color up as close as we can. I'm not using a lot of pressure. These pencils do not hurt your hand. They're actually pretty comfortable. And the pigment comes off of the pencil pretty easily, in all honesty. Now, I am using a watercolor paper here. As I told you earlier, this is a 140-pound cold pressed paper. So the tooth of the paper is actually grabbing more of the color pencil lid off. Now, the different types of paper that you use your color pencils on really, really, really do make all of the difference. Um, Papers that are made for color pencil work tend to be smoother than like a watercolor paper or a canvas. So you, depending on the paper maker, you may not necessarily get something that's super toothy that'll really grab your pencil in. Now that Soho Urban Artist paper that I just showed you guys, that book we were looking at, that paper is actually really decent for color pencils. It's not super toothy, but it does the job. I actually like using colored pencils on watercolor paper, though. You just get much more of a pigment payoff from the pencils because the sizing from the watercolor paper is grabbing much more of that pigment from that pencil lid in there. I feel like that's good on the shadow. All right. Now, last things last, let's throw these in here. And that's like I said, I think I'm gonna do one more illustration with these pencils, and then I'm gonna be moving on to getting the review done because we have quite a few um, color pencil sets to test, review, and to get through. Now, I think the next ones I'm going to do after I finish the colored pencil video is going to be a technique. I mean, after I finish using the Crayola color pencils, it's going to be a giveaway. And I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. It's going to be a Prismacolor giveaway. And it's going to be this little baby here. I'm gonna show you this, and then we're gonna add some bleed proof to those lemons and be done. So here you have Prismacolor techniques. This is it's got like a couple different levels to it. It's an entire kit. It's got 18 pencils in it, two illustration markers, a clear guide grid overlay. There's a drawing pad, there's an eraser, there's a sharpener, there's a graphite pencil, and three online art lessons included. So I think this is such a cool product. And I'm going to have one that we're going to be testing and reviewing, and then I'll have one to give away. So that'll probably be the next color pencil thing we get to. And yes, ma'am, Eleanor, I finally have put those Black Widow pencils in my cart, and they are on their way. They are. I know you're probably thinking to yourself, finally, finally. But yes, the Black Widow pencils are officially on their way. All right, let's knock this out and we're done. I'm going to grab some bleed proof here and I'm going to go with the. Okay, I'm going to use my number 6 round to, mix me out a puddle of it here. And I always just mix it directly in the top. It's not a big deal. I try not to contaminate it or mix it in with anything else unless I have to. And I'm just going to get some of that in the top. Then I'm going to switch back over. Do I want to do the liner brush? Well, actually, I'm going to go with the cat's tongue first. And so I want to do the center part. I wiped all of the water out of the brush so that the only thing I'm grabbing is the bleed proof, right? And we're just going to go in here, and it's not going to seem like a big deal at first. And we're just going to dance around the middle of those. And it should cover the pencil line. It's not too much to do. And just kind of dancing around the center. Pick up a little bit more bleed proof there. Get it a little thicker. And then I'm going to start to draw the white segment lines. If I can get this thick enough, let's see. I'm going to just kind of draw the white segment lines that divide up the pieces. Bleed proof doesn't seem to be too opaque all of a sudden. We know it is. I'm gonna grab a little bit more out of there and see if I can get that a little bit. And I'm just using it to divide off the sections of. See how that looks on camera. I can't see right now. Doesn't look too bad. Just gonna. I'm just using it to divide off the sections of the actual lemon. You don't have to do this part. If you don't want to, you could have been done a long time ago. Let's see. But yeah, Eleanor, a member of DECA went on and sent those Black Widow pencils in. So we'll finally have them. I'm just trying to go ahead and get this done. I know you guys are ready to go. We've been on 2 hours. I can't believe it's taking this long. It should not take this long to paint lemons, but of course, I can't do anything without talking and running my mouth. All right, and here, a little bit more water to that, a little bit more bleed proof. All right, and then just a few strokes in the flesh, no biggie. I don't even have to do that. I'm just throwing some in there for the help. Just for kicks. All right, and we're gonna call that done, friends. That is a mixed media lemon illustration. Hopefully, you got something out of that. There is some lemon slices piled up on top of each other. Very straightforward. Actually, very, very straightforward mixed media illustration. We use Crayola color pencils, signature color pencils for our second layer to add opacity and body. We use the Creative Color aqua bricks, or you could have used watercolor, or you could have used gouache, or you could have used water soluble inks, or you could have used drawing inks, or you could have used watercolor pencils, or you could have used liquid watercolors. You could have used watercolor crayons, water soluble oil pastels. So basically, any water soluble medium is your thinnest layer. Keep in mind that when you're doing mixed media, it's kind of like oil painting. You want to, what is it, the Federal lean rule? You want to put your leanest products down first and then build with your fat products. So basically, I put the water soluble product down first and then built on top of that with colored pencils, built on top of that with gouache, kind of building up with the thicker products. So that's kind of how that went. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed this little hangout today. Is it still March? Yes, it's still March. This year's going so fast. It's almost April. Can y'all believe it's almost April? Like literally, you know. Let me not complain about it going fast. It needs to go fast. Go fast. Go fast. Because this year has been a whoopie doozy whopper already, man. Listen, let me tell you. All right. And we did use again Christie's travel brushes. Um, you can go check out the video on the channel for these if you would like to. It is absolutely fun. Those brushes are fun and they're rather affordable. Thank you all so very much for coming over and hanging out with me today. I'm about to get on up out of here and I need to finish up Wednesday's video for the release of the Hippie Crafter paints. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I was not going to just straight up review these paints, but the honest to God truth is, after working with them a little bit, I decided that I'm just going to go ahead and turn this entire video into the unboxing, the swatching, the testing, and the review as a sponsored video. But I'll go ahead and show you guys what the colors look like. So I swatched the Hippie Crafty colors out on this 140-pound cold pressed acid free paper from Paul Rubens. It's a watercolor block. It's pretty big. It's like 15 by 10 and a half. So it gave me enough room to get all 36 colors on here. Now, the thing about this particular set is that, as I mentioned earlier, is more of a crafty, fun set than a fine art set. So there is no artist information included with these paints, but I'll get more into that in the video. But it is a vast range of really bright, beautiful colors. I do think they're more dye based than pigment based, but That doesn't say much as far as their performance is concerned. What I will say is I love the fact that there is a split primary palette amongst the 36 colors, but there's enough convenience colors or for you to paint from the pans directly if you're not a person who likes to do a lot of color mixing or you haven't gotten into color mixing yet. So definitely be sure to catch the video release Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. for the pre-recorded release on the Hippie Crafter. Outside of that, Patreon members, I will see you all tonight inside the creation station at 8 p.m. as long as everything stays the same. If anything should change, I will definitely throw up a message really quick to let you guys know if there needs to be a reschedule or anything. But as of right now, everything seems to be on track, and I'll see you guys at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time over in the creation station. Other than that, friends, go out, enjoy your day, enjoy your week, have fun. Remember to practice, 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 because practice makes perfect. And as I tell you at the end of every single video as we part, just keep creating.